It's so strange that you don't remember any of your poetry.
This brief was served on McGill Royal Victoria Secretariat on October 15, 2021, from the Roscoragete of Ganawagi, Oswego, Aguzasne, and Ganazadagi on behalf of the Ganyagahage Nistasira, the Mohawk Mothers. Attention! Laurent Morris Lafontant, Adjunct Administrator, Office of Consultation Public of Montreal. Abstract: the GanyagahagaGanistasara Mohawk women, caretakers of the Guayanunda, 2 mountains, Mount Royal, demand the immediate suspension of all reconstruction plans by the Royal Victoria Hospital and Allan Memorial Institute sites on the campus of McGill University for the following reasons. 1. The site is unceded Ganyagahaga territory. 2. The site contains archaeological remains from the original pre-colonial Iroquois village. 3. The grounds of the Allan Memorial Institute must be investigated for potential unmarked graves and proof of atrocities committed during the mkultra program between 1954 and 1963. Sego. This brief will be presented on October 10, 2021 via Zoom for 10 minutes to the Office of Consultation Public of Montreal. It will be presented by members of the Rodiscaragete Men's Council Fire of Ganawage, Aguzasne, Ganazadage, Oswego. The video of this meeting will be posted on MNN. Following traditional protocol, the Rodiscaragete will carry the words of the Ganyagahaga Nistasara Mohawk Mothers, who are the caretakers of Unawarege Turtle Island, in custody for the Dehadi Gunsodache, the future generation still in the ground of Mother Earth. This brief is an objection to the plans of the Corporation of McGill University and its affiliated institutions to violate the circle of life of our ancestral land at Gonunda, Mount Royal, as members of the Haudenosaunee Iroquois Confederacy. We have the following vested interest in the Royal Victoria Hospital Reconstruction Project under the following. According to the Guyana-Goa Great Peace, which is the pre-colonial constitution of the Haudenosaunee Iroquois Confederacy, the Nistasara Mothers are the progenitors of all life on Unawarege Turtle Island since the beginning of life on Earth. Their duty is to carry out the will of creation embodied in the original circle of 49 families, Degan Jokwan Huxta. Our alliance protocol, the Deohadi Turo Wampum Appendix 1, provides that we survive and coexist with all life as siblings with our mother, the Earth. All of Turtle Island is the unceded birthright of the Oglahumwe original people to caretake future generations. Information on the Deohade and Guyana-Goa can be found at these 2 links. On September 12, 2015, a notice of seizure of McGill University was sent by Gahandineta, a Ganyogahaga woman of the Wakskarawage clan, to McGill's principal and vice chancellor Suzanne Forche. Appendix 2, addressed for multiple violations of the Guyana-Goa Great Peace by McGill University, whose campus is on unceded Ganyogahaga territory and was built using funds borrowed from the Haudenosaunee Umwe and which were never repaid. The Guyana-Goa supersedes the Constitution and Charter of Rights of the Corporation of Canada, both historically and legally. McGill acknowledged on its own blog that its campus is located on unceded Indigenous land. Despite McGill's creation of a task force on Indigenous studies and Indigenous education in 2016 of appointees or employees by McGill, no official response was provided to this notice of seizure. A second letter, Appendix 3, was thus sent in May 2021, informing McGill's Board of Governors that their failure to respond to the 2015 notice of seizure meant that they admitted by default that McGill illegally sits on Ganyogihaga land. Unless McGill University abides by the Gayanret Great Peace and the Deohadi Turo Wampum, it is considered as trespassing on Ganyogihaga land. No agreement is valid without the consensus of the original sovereigns of Turtle Island. The Gayuni 44 Hiawatha Belt of the Gayanret Goa provides the duties of the women as caretakers. Women shall be considered the progenitors of the people. They are the prime caretakers of the land and the soil. Men and women shall follow the status of their mothers. The private Indigenous consultation firm ACOSIS, hired by McGill University, has not received permission from the Ganyogihaga Katnistonsera to repurpose our land known as the Royal Victoria Hospital site. This permission is the first step towards any planning. The Katnistonsera are still waiting to be provided with the information on who was improperly consulted on their behalf. ACOSIS must use the proper Gayanret Goa protocol. As caretakers of Degwan Nunda, including the site of the Royal Victoria Hospital and Allan Memorial Institute, the Katnistonsera hereby inform you that our protocol has been violated and that the project cannot proceed. Our demands are based on the following considerations. 1. The Ganyogihaga land on which the Royal Victoria Hospital site is located is said to have first been transferred by the Sulpicians to private owner Pierre Rainbolt as Concession 637 in 1708. No information has been provided to us attesting to the Sulpicians having acquired the land from the Haudenosaunee Iroquois people who have lived on this land since time immemorial. Jacques Cartier first encountered our Haudenosaunee ancestors in 1535, Appendix 4, and indicated that the village of Hochelaga was located at Degwanunda, Mount Royal, given our people's practice of safeguarding the environment by moving our villages regularly throughout our territories. The village has been temporarily left to natural regeneration when Samuel de Champlain came back to the site in 1603. When our people returned, they saw a group of strangers had moved onto our site and learned that they called settlement Ville Marie. Unable to use the land to meet regularly with Indigenous people from all directions of Turtle Island, our people renamed the location Janijojago, the place where the people separated. This name indicates that the Ganyogihaga people could no longer meet in this site because it had been unlawfully occupied without notice by the Ganajan, those who squat on our land. As no proper land deed or certificate of cession of this land has ever been shown to us, the site is considered unceded Ganyogihaga land, as often publicly acknowledged both by McGill University and the city of Montreal. 2. Only the Ganyogihaga Umwe, the people forever of the Flint, can make decisions on the use of our land in accordance with the Gayanret Goa Great Peace, our ancestral constitution which supersedes all colonial legislation. In the absence of any proof of the land being ceded, the only juridical foundations of the colonial occupation of Onwarege, Turtle Island, are racist ideologies, the right of conquest and the right of discovery. These false doctrines underlie the Europeans' invalid right to commit genocide of our people to the present day. Under the Gayanret Goa, we have a right to survive by any means. As unceded Ganyogihaga territory, the only valid legal framework on the Gununda is the Gayanret Goa, accompanied by the two historical agreements between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the British Crown, the Deohade Turo and the Silver Covenant Chain, Appendix number 5. 3. McGill campus on Deguanunda is widely acknowledged as the original site of many of the pre-colonial Iroquois villages today referred to as Hochelaga. As stated in Archaeo's 2016 Archaeological Survey, Appendix 6, the large number of pre-colonial indigenous burial sites throughout the Deguanunda and Royal Victoria Hospital sites demonstrates that the remains of our indigenous ancestors lie beneath its surface. As their heirs, it is our duty to determine how these crucial archaeological sites will be treated in any change to the Deguanunda site. It is an extreme offense to disturb our ancestors. 4. In 1847, McGill College cashed a loan of £2,000, $8,000, from the Iroquois Trust Fund. This fund, intended to compensate the use of Aboriginal lands, was kept in trust by the federal government under the racist pretext that Indigenous peoples were unable to manage their own funds. This sum, which built part of the McGill campus, was never paid back to the Haudenosaunee Confederacy with 10% compound interest. The amount owed today is $5,584,800,717.46 based on the value of the gold standard at that time. Appendix 7. This full amount must be immediately remitted to the Haudenosaunee to stop the accumulation of interest, which is compounded from sunrise to sunset every day. 5. In addition to archaeological remains, the Ganyogehaga Katnistosera have been aware of allegations that indigenous and or non-indigenous children may be buried in the vicinity of the Henry Louis Morgan Pool and in adjacent grounds of the Ravens Crag Gardens of the Allan Memorial Institute. The Henry Louis Morgan Pool was built in 1961 during Dr. Ewen Cameron's unethical scientific experimentations on mind control carried within the Allan Memorial Institute between 1954 and 1963 and was funded by the Canadian government and the CIA's MKUltra project. An audio-taped conversation with 80-year-old Winnipeg resident Lana Ponting, who is one of the few remaining victims of these experiments, has confirmed several aspects of these allegations. Lana Ponting has stressed 3 points. 1. That Indigenous people were victims of these experiments, as she remembers seeing at least one Indigenous individual receiving intense shock treatment in the Allan Memorial Institute during her stay in April 1958. 2. That underage children were victims of these experiments, as Lana Ponting witnessed many minor individuals in the building, and as she was herself 16 years of age at the time. It was also public knowledge that several MKUltra subprojects included psychiatric experiments on unwitting children. Subprojects 102, 103, 177, and 122. See Appendix 8. 3. That the rumor that the experiments victims were buried in the Ravens Crag garden surrounding the Allan Memorial Institute was already in circulation among its patients as early as 1958. Notably, Lana Ponting recalls that suspicious activities were conducted outside the building at night. Lana Ponting has agreed to have her eyewitness testimony included in this brief, Appendix 9, and mentioned on tape that her doctor will provide a letter attesting that she is of sound mind. Lana Ponting and many other family members of psychiatric experiments at McGill University have strong suspicion that unmarked graves, potentially including Indigenous children, will be uncovered beneath the grounds of Ravens Crag. The Ganyogehaga caretakers of the Deguanunda take these allegations very seriously, as should McGill's Board of Governors. Indigenous children who were kidnapped from their families and put in residential schools were legally deemed wards of the state of Canada. Given this status, many of these children were used for experiments, including on nutrition and starvation. Appendix number 10. It must also be noted that before coming to the Allan Memorial Institute, Dr. Ewen Cameron practiced psychiatry in Brandon, Manitoba, where he likely had access to Indigenous patients. Another important fact bolstering our suspicions is that underage Duplessis orphans who had a similar status as Indigenous children in residential schools, e.g., wards of the state, were subjected to extreme psychiatric torture experiments in psychiatric wards. Many died and were interred in unmarked graves, including numerous human remains found in the pigsty near St. John de Dieu Hospital in Montreal. Appendix 11. Electroshock torture was also practiced on children in residential schools, as that revealed by the Ontario Provincial Police's inquiry on Fort Albany's St. Anne Residential School. Appendix number 12. The families of the Indigenous victims of mass murder want closure. To investigate these allegations of unmarked graves around the Allan Memorial Institute of McGill University, the Ganyogehaga Ganistosera have set up an investigation team that includes a surveyor, a geologist, and a search dog, assisted by GeoView Pro software. A zone potentially containing unmarked graves has been identified. Appendix 13. Before unmarked graves of Indigenous children were actually found across Canada, the widely circulated stories of their existence among Indigenous people were dismissed as rumors. The Ganyogehaga Ganistosera, careholders of the Gwenunda, are concerned that the current Royal Victoria Hospital rehabilitation project could destroy evidence of the unmarked graves of their siblings, depriving them of proper identification, repatriation, and burial. It is McGill University's responsibility to provide the funds and the expertise necessary for an immediate and thorough Ganyogehaga-led investigation of the Allan Memorial Institute site, which might be considered a site of crime against humanity. All files concerning MKUltra experiments conducted in McGill University's psychiatry department must be released without delay and made available to the public without restriction. Considering the above points on behalf of the Guyana-Goa and in the name of the children of the past, present, and future, the Ganistosera careholders of the Gununda formally request a. The immediate termination of any work or planning activities concerning construction on site. 2. On St. Anne's Residential School, see St. Anne's Residential School, 1941 to 72, Fort Albany, Cochrane District, Ontario, Canada. B. That McGill University, now considered a potential crime scene by the Ganistosera, is shut down within 28 days, Wahnida, 1 moon. C. That the site be thoroughly investigated by a Guyana-Goa-led forensic and archaeological team to confirm the existence of unmarked graves or other evidence of unlawful activity. D. That all people and institutions responsible for the suffering of patients in MKUltra experiments in the Allan Memorial Institute be charged with crimes against humanity. E. That the Guyana-Goa Great Peace is the only legal framework currently applicable on site, and that the Guyana-Goa Ganistosera have the final say in any decision pertaining to the land. McGill University and the Royal Victoria Hospital are the property of the Guyana-Goa people, as they have been built with our funds and resources. F. That McGill University should be renamed with a proper Ganyogehaga description and be governed by the Ganistosera to address and remedy the inappropriate connection of this institution to John McGill, a slave owner and trader and a thief of Kanyogahaga land and funds, Kanyogahaga place names shall replace all names on campus. G. That the corporation of McGill University, the Allan Memorial Institute, and all affiliate institutions engaged in the raping, pillaging, and murder of our people, earth, and its children immediately cease and desist their occupation of Onowarege Turtle Island. H. That the corporation of McGill University, the Allan Memorial Institute, and all affiliate institutions respect the Guyana Egoa, Great Peace, and the De Oha de Turo as the basis of our relationship to the earth. We have spoken. Signed, Karakwine Rodinado Kahadineta Waxkarawe Wage Kawanaa Waxkarawage